If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This African proverb inspires Foundation's community partnership to foster collaboration among networks for special needs children, youth, and families in Bucks County. Welcome to FCP Conversations Online, featuring Bucks County nonprofit leaders. Join our discussion with community organizations that share our mission and are making a difference in the lives of our neighbors.
Hello, I'm Ron Bernstein, the Executive Director of Foundation's Community Partnership. I'm delighted to kick off FCP Conversations Online with our guest today, Audrey Tucker, the Executive Director of Bucks Family Service Association. Audrey, thanks for being with us here today.
Well, thank you so much, Ron, for having me as your first guest.
Okay, let's get started with a little bit of the history of Family Service Association. It's a really important organization here in Bucks County, but tell us a little bit about its history.
Sure, be glad to. In the early 1950s, William J. Levitt began construction of what would eventually be over 17,000 homes in Lower Bucks County. The homes were moderately priced and were attractive to military personnel who were being discharged after World War II, many of whom would be employed by the nearby Family Hills steel plant, which recently opened. There was a small group of Bucks County residents who anticipated the needs of these new residents. That is, that they were leaving their communities where they came from, not from Bucks County. They were from other parts of the state, other parts of the nation, and they were relocating here. And the group of Bucks County residents felt that they might need professional counseling. The other issue is that there was identification with some of the individuals who were moving here that the military, that they might also be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, which at that time was not identified. And what they were picking up, some of these residents, is that they were having problems, too many problems, family problems, individual problems, financial problems. And so the group of individuals got in touch with a national organization called Family Service America, which was located in New York City. And they asked, how do we get started on beginning and operating a nonprofit counseling agency? So in November of 1953, there were two offices that opened. One was in Fallsington and the other one was in Doylestown. And they were very, very small offices that had staff of probably 2 full-time workers who were managing both of these offices. Today, though, we have over 25 sites in Bucks County and serve over 22,000 people.
Wow, 1953, I was 2 years old, so I probably wasn't seeking service yet at that time. That's really interesting, Audrey. When did you get involved? What drew you to the organization?
This actually was my third family service agency. In graduate school, I had a placement at a family service agency in Buffalo, New York, and then I moved to Dayton, Ohio, and worked there at that family service agency. I like the fact that family service agencies, and then in particular this agency, they identify needs. And in all 3 agencies I worked in, they identify what the needs are in the community and then find the resources to take care of those needs.
Well, let's fast forward to today. What do you see as some of the community needs that FSA is trying to solve?
There's numerous needs. One is the fact that our county probably has one of the fastest growing populations of seniors in the state of Pennsylvania. And these older adults have helped grow and build Bucks County. And so what we're really saying now is, what can we do to help these seniors? So that's one of the areas is older adults. Another is preventing child abuse. This requires that parents learn the necessary skills to support their children to be successful and to achieve their greatest potential. Another one of our needs, I think, is integrating mental health, substance abuse, and physical health. Now, all of us in communities are taking a holistic approach It's not just the mental health issue or just physical, is how do all three of these disorders impact on an individual. Another, which I'm sure you know about, is the lack of transportation in Bucks County. So many of our folks that come to us are poor, working poor. They don't have cars. They don't have access to services. Often many are working 2 jobs. They can't even get to facilities for services. And probably the last, which is a really biggie one for our county, is affordable housing. We just lack affordable housing, and that number of the homeless in our county is growing. And part of that also are veterans who are homeless.
Well, I think people are always surprised to hear that there's homeless people here in Bucks County. People think of the county as very affluent and wealthy, but there is a big homeless population. And I know that FSA, sometime in the last couple of years, took over the management of the emergency shelter. Can you tell us a little bit about how that program's working and
Sure.
what some of the obstacles are that you're trying to overcome down there?
The Bucks County Emergency Homeless Shelter provides safe housing for approximately 72 vulnerable men, women, and children. We provide transportation to medical appointments for these individuals. We provide behavioral health services. We have a licensed mental health clinic at the shelter. We provide case management. We have a health educator that's there, a budget counselor, and we help them get to medical appointments, job interviews, and also access many of the other services that Bucks County, that Family Service offers.
Well, what are your hopes and goals for those people? Do they stay there indefinitely? How long do you expect them to be there? And what's the next step after somebody leaves the shelter?
That's a very good question. We're hoping that our goal is for them and for us, because they don't want to be living in a homeless shelter. They want a place of their own. They want to be independent. So our goal is that they're probably there no longer than 6 months. It's probably between 4 and 6 months to stay there. But when they come in, they often don't have jobs, full-time jobs, part-time jobs. And so that's the beginning of the process, is to connect them with CareerLink, Bucks County CareerLink, and help them get that job. We often, as I say, we drive them to CareerLink, or we could take them to that job. From that part-time job, then we're hoping that some of them can move into a full-time job. The reality also is that many of them are on disability, or they should be applying for disability benefits. So we help them in that process of giving them and helping them get the benefits that they are entitled to.
You mentioned that some of those folks are children. Do those kids go to school? What happens to them while their family is living at the homeless shelter?
Sure. It was interesting, Ron. The other day I was at the shelter, and there were 5 different school buses there. And what I mean by that is that they were from different school districts. So when someone, as an example, if they're leaving, they had lived in the Warminster area, and they went to a Centennial School, elementary school, or junior school, or high school, that bus will pick them up at the shelter and bring them back to their local school that they were from. They could still stay with their friends, their peers, have the same teacher. And so there were that particular day, there were 5 different
Wow.
school districts who were picking up the kids and bringing them to the school. Often, though, we're finding that there are more women coming in with children under 5. The other day, a few weeks ago, and also when I was there were 10 cribs, which means that there were 10 children under the age of, I think it's 2.5, because they sleep in cribs. So there were 10 who were under the age of 2.5. So it's a real range of ages of the children who were there.
Well, as you know, we at the foundation are really impressed and supportive of the work that Family Association does, and I want to make sure that we sort of tick off some of the different programs that you guys offer, and also make sure we speak about the different locations and how people can access your services.
Okay, sure. We have, as I mentioned, at least 25 sites throughout Bucks County. 20 of those sites are in schools. We provide mental health, substance abuse, counseling, I should say co-occurring counseling, in those 20 school districts ranging from Quakertown to Bristol Township. There were in elementary schools, junior high schools, and part of it, when I mentioned about one of the needs in the county is transportation, we find that families often are not able to get to our sites because the parents could be working 2 jobs. It could be they do not have a car, or it could be that the car broke down that day. So we want our services to be accessible to the community. So that's why we're in 20 different schools. Here, the child is in school. The parent, we do make home visits with that child and their parent in the home, but we can also be seeing them in schools. So in a sense, it's like they're a captured audience. They're right there. The parents don't have to worry about transportation needs.
But you have an office in Quakertown?
We do. We have a large office there. We actually just recently moved because the needs in that community are going. I believe at this point we're in 3 different school districts, and we will 3 different schools in Quakertown, and will be in an additional school within the next 6 months to a year.
And you have a big office here in Doylestown?
We have a large office in Doylestown, but even there, we are expanding the office that we presently are in. We're going to be adding 3 more therapy rooms. The need for professional counseling is much more acceptable now than it used to be 10, 20 years ago. There's not the stigma attached to receiving services for a mental health disorder or a substance abuse disorder. And we also have, I want to say, wonderful staff, professional staff. We have psychiatrists, we have psychiatric nurses, case managers. So we have a very competent, qualified staff that are in all of our programs.
Well, our community is fortunate to have you guys. The home office in Langhorne, the ACES office, the ACES operation out of Oxford Valley Mall, and that those programs are designed for who?
There's several programs. Actually, we have 2 programs at the Oxford Valley Mall. One is the Teen Center, and this is a drop-in center for teens in Lower Bucks County. And often the teens don't have the surrogate, they don't have the parents available. Some of the parents may be in prison, some of the parents are working 2 jobs, and they're just not available and supportive for many of these kids. So they come there and they ask, and they're looking for support from our staff, who are like surrogate parents to them. Some come in hungry. We always have food for them, and we're there to support them and to help them grow and become independent. We also have another program called ACES, which is working with adults who could be on the autism spectrum, or they could not be. They could be adults who have social communication disorders. They could have some mental health disorders. They could also be on the spectrum. And there we're helping them with jobs. We have job coaches. We could be in, I think it's 100 hours or more of job coaching to help that individual attain that job, keep that job. Many of these young adults have often failed with jobs. They become very depressed. They stay at home. They gain weight, and their life is vague. They don't know where they're going. They're very confused. Once they become involved in our ACES job coaching program, their whole world opens up. And it's this past year, just actually since July, we placed 10 people in jobs.
That's great.
Throughout actually Central and Lower Bucks County.
Okay, Audrey, a couple, 1 or 2 more questions. First of all, I'd love to hear about your call centers. I know they're manned by professionals, and you're getting lots of calls. You took over what used to be a suicide hotline in the community. You're dealing with the housing link. And how can members of our community get involved with helping Bucks County residents?
Very briefly, Ron, we operate two hotlines. One is the homeless hotline, which is the Bucks County Housing Link, And there, people who are homeless in the county, they call this 800 number, 1-800-810-4434. If they feel that they're going to be evicted soon, if it's imminently homelessness that's in the horizon, they need to give us a call. The other is the suicide hotline and also the warm line that we operate. And that phone number is 1-800-273-TALK. And there are people who, this past month, we received 156 phone calls on the suicide line and over 1,000 phone calls on our warm line.
Wow.
So if people are feeling that they're at risk, they're concerned with what's happening in their lives, it's very important that they give us a call on that suicide line.
And then I guess finally, Audrey, how can the community get involved? How can people help the organization?
Thank you for asking that question, Ron. There's two ways that the community can support us. First, by volunteering. We have a very, very strong volunteer program at Family Service, and we still need volunteers. We still have volunteer opportunities that people can be part of with Family Service, and we'd love to have them as a volunteer. The second way is to make a donation, and you can do that easily by going to our website, which is fsabc.org.
Well, Audrey, thank you. Thank you for your service to our Bucks County community and for joining me today to share your experiences and knowledge leading the Family Service Association. And thank you to our listeners for your involvement in our community. Visit our Facebook page to join the conversation with your thoughts and comments.
Foundation's Community Partnership believes that when we join forces, we're stronger. We are better able to support the behavioral health and human service needs of children and young adults in Bucks County. Join us again for FCP Conversations Online. Let's go farther together.